Joining me now with the latest on all the breaking news, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Good evening, Hogan.
Hey, Judge. Great to be with you.
All right. You had quite a week this week, didn't you?
Absolutely. It's nonstop at that White House.
Well, look, I want to talk about BuzzFeed in a minute, but I want to talk about first the reaction of the Democrats, not after the president laid out what he said this afternoon at about 4 o'clock, but what they said before he even spoke. Talk about that.
It's incredible. They did it when he gave the Oval Office address, where they had a canned speech when they didn't know what he was going to say. They did it again today, releasing information, denying the plan the president put out. They refused to work with him. They said the plan was bad when they hadn't even heard what he was going to say. So many people thought he was going to declare a national emergency, which he didn't do. So the point is, Democrats are hypocritical here, and they're disingenuous. They're not being truthful with the American people. They're against the president before they know what he's even going to say, and it tells you everything you need to know.
You know, I have to tell you, Hogan, I have in front of me, the facts from the 2006 Secure Fence Act, the people who supported it, the Democrats voting yay, and the 2013 border security. It is stunning to me that they have the nerve to go out. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. To go out and say this is immoral, a wall is immoral, when 6 years ago it wasn't immoral and 13 years ago it wasn't immoral. It is so transparent.
Right. They said it was a manufactured crisis as well. Well, Barack Obama called it a crisis, a humanitarian one at that, from the Rose Garden. Was it manufactured then? Was it manufactured when they cast votes to protect our border? And like you said in the open, is it manufactured to those who've lost loved ones at the hands of illegal immigrants? Ask them that, and they would say it is not manufactured. We face a humanitarian crisis along our border and a national security crisis along our border. This president recognizes that, and he's trying to do something about it. When you give the Democrats the data and explain what's going on, it's like they don't believe it. They sure don't know it, and worse, it's like they don't care. And that's where we are right now. The president has tried repeatedly to come to the table to fix this, and Democrats are nowhere to be found.
They believe it, Hogan, and they know it. But as I said, their politics are above serving the people.
Right.
Their politics are above making sure that a federal employee doesn't have to go out and get a loan to pay the rent or the mortgage. It's about them and destroying that man on the screen right now. And it is infuriating. But
well, but you make the point. They pretend to care about these federal workers who are living paycheck to paycheck, saying to the American people, listen, these federal workers are in such bad shape. They've got to sell their own clothing to make ends meet. But the only clothing they appear to care about is resort casual, which was the attire recommendation for their jaunt down to Puerto Rico. I mean, first they go to Hawaii, then the Democrats party in Puerto Rico, and then, as you mentioned, Nancy Pelosi wanted a trip, a 6-day excursion to Europe, which would have ensured these 800,000 employees for the federal government lose their second paycheck in a row. That is unacceptable. The president asked her to postpone that trip, refused to let her use military air to try and keep her in this country so we could have a conversation to reopen the government and secure the border, and she still refuses to come to the table.
Well, and I want to get to BuzzFeed, but the theater of all of this with the president. I mean, think about negotiations. I mean, I took labor law in law school. You know, you got management, and then you've got the unions. Okay, here we've got management. We've got the president. There's no one at the table, but he's still bending. He's still compromising. Let's go to BuzzFeed. The hate for this man is unbelievable. When BuzzFeed is willing to come out, and every Democrat this side of Hawaii is willing to come out and say impeach, impeach, when they publish a story that has no foundation, and when the special counsel comes out and says, hey, look, you know, there's no truth to this, the president never told Cohen to lie, then, I mean, can't the American people see through this?
I think they are starting to. The president has been saying fake news for a long time, and that was a perfect example of it. But it wasn't just the BuzzFeed story. It's that every other mainstream outlet carried it from sun up till sundown. I got calls at 5 o'clock in the morning asking me to comment on it. And the fact is, BuzzFeed itself ran a story, I should say, with no corroborating evidence whatsoever. Even the author of the piece, who has a history of political activism, came out and said he couldn't corroborate the piece either. They ran it anyway, and every other outlet picked it up. And not to mention the fact the subject was Michael Cohen, someone who is an admitted liar and a convicted felon who defrauded this government of millions of dollars. It's insane to see what the media are doing just to try and take away any wins from Donald Trump and to hurt his reputation. And now we know this past year, polling shows 90% of the coverage against this president is negative. I wonder how much of it's fake. I bet it's close to that number.
Can you imagine if only like 60% was negative?
It was 80%. If it was 80%, think how high he'd be in the polls. It's unbelievable what they try to do to this man, who all he's done is left a lucrative business to come into this White House and do everything he can to make our lives better across this country. He's done that regardless of demographic. Wages are up. Unemployment is down. We have better trade deals. America is doing outstanding, and it's because of Donald Trump.
All right, Hogan Gidley, get some sleep. Had a rough
Thanks so
week.
much.